It's Saturday morning cartoons, the first Saturday morning in February 2024. Now what better way to celebrate Saturday morning cartoons but with our favorite cartoonist himself, David P. Wilson, who later in life wrote or authored several books as S. Jason Black. Unfortunately, he's the late David Wilson, but we love him and his memory. This is from Haru Raha Lodge's quarterly journal, and this one is from December 1990. So we're looking at a little over 34 years ago we published this. Okay. Oh, there's other cartoons in here by David, but I just want to share something with you and actually share sort of something that at the time was kind of a rare, officially unpublished Crowley thing called Postcards. Postcards to Probationers. But first, I want to share with you some of the Oyez things here. This is what it looks like on the inside. Now, Oyez, we called it Oyez, okay, was started very early in the lodge's career, and it was the very first one was put together by our dear friend John Sandifer, who is our deacon at the time, wonderful magician, wonderful Goetic magician, and I think he has since changed his name, but we owe him a great deal and think very fondly of him, although we haven't seen him in years. Okay, this is published by the Haru Raha Lodge, OTO, for the private amusement of her members, and it also included everybody who we had a mailing address for. So in December of 1990, Haru Raha Lodge was 13 years old. And to celebrate, we've extruded this very special issue of Oyez. This time we present, along with the usual collection of dirty drawings and bathroom humor, two rather rare works of lasting value. De Mysterious Rosé Rubiae et Aureae Crucis, the 1924 classic by Mr. 13 himself, Frater Akkad, Charles Stanfield Jones. And we included just a full facsimile of it right there, with complete with its and there's another obscene little cartoon there, but it included just all the illustrations from that classic work, which is an exegesis on the Hermetic Rose Cross, and Postcards to Probationers itself. But I thought I would, before I share with you the postcards from to Probationers, a real Saturday morning cartoon by David P. Wilson, S. Jason Black, who did for the Oyez series, Great Figures in Occult History. And there we see a guy at the Vancouver Children's Zoo in a raincoat and hairy feet. So this is Great Figures in Occult History number 39. Charles S. Wrongway Jones. VSOP, or Frater Achu. Abandoned in a Detroit hotel room on the evening of February 31st, 1898, by a couple who had signed the registry simply Mr. and Mrs. Jones, little Chucky never knew his natural parents. He spent his first 9 years moving from foster home to foster home until he came to live in a commune operated by the Scratchers, an eccentric sect of Dutch strawberry farmers with skin allergies. It was here he encountered his first paranormal experience, he later called the knowledge and conversation of the cockroaches that nested inside his pillow. In 1919, while visiting a Turkish bath in Soho, he met K.Y., a disciple of Aleister Crowley, who, after a brief conversation, initiated young Jones into the oral traditions of Western Hermeticism. Several months later, Jones was encouraged to correspond with the Master Therian, who then became his guru through correspondence. With the Master's guidance, Achu, as he now called himself, hit one spiritual home run after another until in 1931 the Master Therian became convinced that Achu had become his magical nephew. The Master had been on a benzene jag with his latest Scarlet Woman, Aardvark, whereupon he had a vision that Achu was sucked across the abyss like an ant drawn up the nose of a cosmic anteater. Just talking about that almost made me want to sneeze. Let's see. The next 5 years were the golden age of Achu's mystical career. He produced such classic works as, hey, I've got an ant up my nose. Excuse me for a second. You. Yep, there was a, it was one of those little red ants. Okay. They sting. Excuse me while I compose myself. Okay. The next 5 years were the golden age of Achu's mystical career. He produced such classic works as The 30-Day Goddess Diet, Cooking with Cleofoth, and I'm Okay, You're a Verse. This period was to end abruptly in 1937 when depressed over the Fatty Arbuckle scandal, his mind snapped and he wrote the doctrinally heretical work, Your Erogenous Sephira, wherein the Tree of Life diagram was discarded and replaced with mahjong tiles. He spent the remainder of his life attempting to part the veil of matter by exposing himself at the Vancouver Children's Zoo. Heartbroken over the spiritual failure of his magical nephew, the Master Therian went to his death denying that he ever knew him. Frater Achu. Okay. Oh God. And we did a Norman Rockwell thing instead of Santa's workshop. It was Satan's workshop. We were frisky in those days. Okay, as promised, here are the Postcards to Probationers by Aleister Crowley. Theorems. 1. The world progresses by virtue of the appearance of Christs, or geniuses. 2. Christs, geniuses, are men with superconsciousness of the highest order. 3. Superconsciousness of the highest order is obtainable by known methods. Therefore, by employing the quintessence of known methods, we cause the world to progress. Essentials of the method. 1. Theology is immaterial. For both Buddha and Saint Ignatius were Christs. Morality. 2. Morality is immaterial. For both Socrates and Muhammad were Christs. 3. Superconsciousness is a natural phenomenon. Its conditions are therefore to be sought rather in the acts than the words of those who attained it. The essential acts are retirement and concentration, as taught by yoga and ceremonial magic. Mistakes of mystics. 1. Since truth is supra-rational, it is incommunicable in the language of reason. 2. Hence, all mystics have written nonsense, and what sense they have written is so far untrue. 3. Yet, as a still lake yields a truer reflection of the sun than a torrent, he whose mind is best balanced will, if he become a mystic, become the best mystic. Heading number 1, the passions, etc. 1. Since the ultimate truth of teleology is unknown, all codes of morality are arbitrary. Teleology, the reason for being, or reason for the reason behind something. 2. Therefore, the student has no concern with ethics as such. 3. He is consequently free to do his duty in that state of life to which it has pleased God to call him. And he sort of put that in single quotes. Number 2, the reason. Since truth is supra-rational, any rational statement is false. 2, let the student then contradict every proposition that presents itself to him. 3, rational ideas being thus expelled from the mind, there's room for the apprehension of spiritual truth. It should be remarked that this does not destroy the validity of reasonings in their own place. Heading number 3, the spiritual sensorium. 1. Man being a finite being, he is incapable of apprehending the infinite. Nor does his communion with the infinite, true or false, alter this fact. 2. Let then the student contradict every vision and refuse to enjoy it. First, because there is certainly another vision possible of precisely contradictory nature. Secondly, because though he is God, he's also a man upon an insignificant planet. Being thus equilibrated laterally and vertically, it may be that either by affirmation or denial of all these things together, he may attain the supreme trance. 1. Trance is defined as the ecstasis of one particular part of the brain caused by meditating on the idea corresponding to it. Number 2, let the student therefore beware lest in that idea there's any trace of imperfection. It should be pure, balanced, calm, and complete, fitted in every way to dominate the mind as it will, even as in the choice of a king to be crowned. 3. So will the decrees of this king be just and wise, as he was just and wise before he was made king. The life and work of the mystic will reflect, though dimly, the supreme guiding force of the mystic, the highest trance to which he has attained. Yoga and magic. Yoga is the art of uniting the mind to a single idea. It has 4 methods: Jnana Yoga, union by knowledge; Raja Yoga, union by will; Bhakta Yoga, union by love; Hatha Yoga, union by courage. And you could add Mantra Yoga, union through speech, and Karma Yoga, union through work. These are united by the supreme method of silence. 2. Ceremonial magic is the art of uniting the mind to a single idea. Same as yoga. It has 4 methods: the Holy Kabbalah, union by knowledge; the sacred magic, union by will; the acts of worship, union by love; the ordeals, union by courage; and you could add the invocations, union through speech; and the acts of service, union through work. These are united by the supreme method, silence. 3. If this idea be any but the supreme perfect idea, and the student lose control, the result is insanity, obsession, fanaticism, or paralysis and death. Add addiction to gossip and incurable idleness, according to the nature of the failure. Let the student understand all these things and combine them in his art, uniting them by the supreme method, silence. Aleister Crowley. Well, that's Saturday morning cartoons and a trip back 34 years to the publication of Oye magazine, which we called Oyez because it's just cuter. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow for Sunday school, hopefully. Until then, be good to each other. But be good to yourself. Do that first. 'Cause you ain't good to anybody unless you're good to yourself. People with beards can talk like that. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.